Scotland with a Stranger, written by Ninya and narrated by the author. Chapter 1. Who goes to Scotland for 2 weeks with a stranger they met over the internet? I did. I remember the very first message. I was part of a women's photography group on Facebook, and I was nearing the end of my photography career. It was an uncertain time, and I was trying to figure out what was next for me professionally. This coated my life in fear that was nearly paralyzing, like a boat floating in the ocean, no longer tethered to the career that had been my identity. The last 3 years after my divorce had been punishing in nearly every measurable way, and I was completely depleted. At the time, I was working exclusively from home, rarely leaving the house, because when I'm depressed, I tend to hunker down and hide. I was sad and lost, and nothing seemed to make sense anymore. Stuck in the soul-sucking social media career I never wanted, but which seemed to want me. The daily grind of it and the comparison factor left a sour taste of dissatisfaction in my mouth when I looked at the smoking wreckage of my life. Social media is the devil, camouflaged as connection, showing us the greatest hits reels of people's lives, which we compare against our personal struggles, making us feel insignificant, unworthy, and less than. I was stuck in this land of fraud and make-believe, unable to find an exit. Every day was the same, stretched out before me, looking bleak and barren, and I just existed in the most basic ways, only fulfilling the basic needs for myself and my children. That day, I posted a photo in the group of the 5-figure engagement ring I had just returned to the wrong man, needing some encouragement from strangers because my life was so isolating. And then I heard the Facebook Messenger notification ding, and there it was, a message from a stranger named Erica. I read your post. I have this idea I want to do. I know the mountains of Scotland. When I had to take my life back, I took off for Scotland and hiked and found myself again on the mountains. It was amazing. I want to take a group of women there, not like a workshop, but more just for self-healing. There's something special about Scotland. And don't worry, I know how to do it cheap. I pray a lot, and when I was there last time, I knew I was supposed to do this. I will just lead you. And when I was there last time, I knew this was something I was called to do. I know the country. I know what you're going through. And I know the need to regain your sense of self. This is a God thing. A God thing. The magic words. It hit my heart hard. I was raised Catholic and it stuck, especially the guilt. I didn't identify as Catholic anymore, but I definitely believed in God, and nothing would ever change that. I have always had a wide-eyed, optimistic pollyanna quality, always thinking things will get better, even when knee-deep in disaster. I should have been a boxer. My ability to recover knockout after knockout was so strong, like one of those weighted superhero punching bags that take a pounding and then pop right back up again, over and over and over. Hiking, healing, the trip of a lifetime. These words resonated in the deepest recesses of my heart. Being a self-help junkie since nearly birth, my library was filled with inspirational books, my favorites being those of journey and self-discovery stories like Wild and Eat, Pray, Love. Those stories planted a seed in me that yearned for an experience like this, and the idea that I might actually get to have one in real life was thrilling. It called to my soul in a way that there was nothing else I could say except yes. It just felt like it was the exact thing I needed at the exact right moment I needed it. The messages flew back and forth furiously for a few minutes. Erica would plan everything. I would just need to show up and be transformed. The people there are so happy. Happiness and joy like you've never experienced before. The landscape is so beautiful. The mountains and waterfalls are amazing. When I got to the summit, I cried. Beauty, joy, happiness. I could use some of that. Those things had been so elusive for me for so long, I almost forgot they existed. She said we could do it all for less than $3,000, so I made up my mind in seconds. I had been dying to use my passport since I got it a year and a half before. I had never been out of the country, ever, not even to Canada or Mexico, and I was ready. I was finally going to travel and do all the things I said I was going to do someday. I was going to heal myself and reconnect with my soul on the mountaintops of Scotland. Finally, I was going to fill up my own well and figure out who I was now that I had no man in my life. When I read her words through my cracked rose-colored glasses, I sobbed like a baby at the rightness of it all. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. I could not have been more excited and ready for an experience like this. The next day, I wrote in my journal, God sent me an angel in Erica, a guide, a leader, a sister, someone who has been there, who knows the struggle to get back to your sense of self when you have lost everything, when you don't know who you are anymore, when you are little and lost and broken. Someone who can gently guide you back to center, who can push you to break through the sadness and pain to the other side. That is what Erica will do for me. I just know it. Fair warning. I must also admit I have a flair for the dramatic and over-romancing things in my head. Looking back now, I was a sitting duck. I mean, God sent me an angel? When the student is ready, the teacher appears? Reconnect with my soul on the mountaintops of Scotland? Reading those words now makes me want to puke in my mouth a little. But at the time, I was serious. It felt so right. It was destiny. Yes, I am in. I am all in. I needed this so badly. That's how it started. A Facebook post in a group and a message from a stranger. That's all it takes to change your life. Chapter 2. How do you get to a place where you are open to trekking across a foreign country with a complete stranger to find yourself again? It's a lengthy and slow process. Once in a sermon at my Catholic high school, Father Brunken talked about how to cook a frog. You don't just throw a frog into a vat of boiling water. He'll fight you, desperate to jump right out. You put him in a nice bath of cool water. He loves it in there. It feels natural and good. And then you bring up the heat a little, and he thinks, ooh, this warm water feels great. And then you bring it up even more. And he says, starting to get a little warm. I should probably get out soon. I will in a minute. And then you crank it up even more until finally it's too late and he's cooked. And that is how it happens. It's a series of settlings. It's wanting to be loved by someone, to be valued by someone so much that you're willing to compromise yourself. First, you are asked to do this in small ways, like overlooking how many drinks your boyfriend is drinking. Your friends say, he's a smoker. You said that was a deal breaker. You counter that attack with, no one's perfect. Everyone knows you won't find everything you're looking for in one person. You have to compromise. And so you do. Years pass and there are more settlings. There are the 12 bottles of vodka you find when cleaning out the garage one day. You confront him and make him promise to get treatment, to go to the meetings, to get professional help. He says anything, makes any promise that needs to be made to keep you there. And so you stay, because how can you leave a person at a time when they need you most? By the time you find out the actual truth about the extent of the problem you're facing, you are pregnant. You do not want your baby to be without a father. He doesn't beat you. He doesn't emotionally abuse you. He has a disease. You wouldn't leave your partner if they had cancer, would you? Of course not. So you decide to stay and fight it together. Then more years pass and you're pregnant again. You find joy in the babies you're surrounded with. They are the light of your life and thriving under your dedicated and constant care. And you are busy, so busy, thick in the constant neediness of motherhood. And you are needed. Oh, what a glorious feeling for someone like you. You live to serve others. You need to be needed. And no one is needier than an infant and a toddler and an alcoholic. Their lives consume yours, and taking care of your family while keeping your business running becomes your entire focus. He lets you do it all. Everything that needs to be done for the kids, everything that needs to be done for him and the business, keeping you constantly buried in the process of laundry, making meals, and disciplining children. So at the end of the night, you are exhausted and fall into bed clutching the baby monitor. While you sleep, he is free to sneak out of the house, to steal over to the bar, to drink his many drinks, to sleep until the late morning, secure in the knowledge that you are there. You've got it all handled. When you ask for help, he procrastinates and avoids your requests until you get frustrated and do it yourself. So you stop asking him for help. You stop asking him for anything because you know it will just fall back on your shoulders anyway. So you might as well just do it in the first place and save your breath. This is where the bitterness sets in. This is where the anger, the frustration, and the martyr complex take root. You wear them as badges of honor and applaud yourself for being so selfless, so generous, so giving. You are incredible, a saint really, and you begin to identify as Saint Ninya. But then the children get older. They are more self-sufficient, giving you the luxury of more time. Numbed out during the last 5 years, you wake up one day with fresh eyes, and you find yourself nearing 200 pounds on your 5-foot 6-inch frame. A visit to the doctor confirms you are morbidly obese, so you engage yourself in the business of making changes and getting healthier. You exercise, start a healthy eating plan, and you lose weight. You start to feel stronger and more capable, and then the kids get older, giving you even more time and energy to focus on the other things in your life that aren't working. But still, you are unable to see you are married to an addict, and an addict will do whatever they need to continue their behavior. You think a change of climate will help, so you busy yourself moving halfway across the country to Alabama. It's warm there. No more cold, snowy winters that you've grown to loathe. Surely I'll be happy here, you think. He agrees to the move, doing anything to keep you in a place where you will continue to take care of him, because he doesn't know much, but he does know that he needs you to continue the caretaking. He needs you there to manage it all, the house, the business, and the kids. Without you, he would have to step up, and that is not something that interests him at all. That is something that will get in the way of all the lemon drops without the lemon that are his constant craving. You think the change of location will transform your life, that you will finally be happy, but you are not. You are just overwhelmed, exhausted again with the logistics of moving, of showing and selling a house you are living in with small children, of getting healthcare lined up in a new state when you are self-employed. You are consumed by finding customers in your new state, with getting the kids registered for school, overloaded again, and blind to the disease that is still feasting on your every effort, endlessly ravenous, like a tapeworm consuming its host, rendering your partner useless and actually turning him into someone else you need to take care of, someone you begin to hate. Alabama is not the answer, so you return to your home state with your tail between your legs. This time, you are financially ruined, feeding your children 99-cent boxes of pasta nearly every day and swallowing your pride to accept grocery deliveries from your father. Moving to Alabama was a huge gamble, and you lost. This revelation sends you spiraling into a deep depression that keeps you busy again, This time, in your own mind, you still provide basic needs for the children and the helpless man you feel shackled to. But instead of enjoying life, you sit in fear and sadness. You wallow in pity and self-loathing. It is an endless cycle that is nearly impossible to break, and the long winter feels exactly like you feel, deep in the recesses of your soul, desolate, bleak, and never-endingly cold. Then, one day, your phone rings, and a voice you recognize instantly is on the other end. A voice you haven't heard in 4 years asking for a meeting. It is your mom. She needs to see you. It is important. You wonder, why now? But you go anyway, not knowing what to expect. You hear the words, pancreatic cancer. You know this is a death sentence. 6 weeks later, she is gone. Gone. And you are busy again. Busy with grief this time. Consumed with regret and lost time, and the pain of being on the earth without your mother, without your lifeline, without your anchor. You always thought eventually the problems with her would work themselves out. Someday she would meet your daughter, and someday she would choose to re-enter your life, and so you gave her space. But she never did, and now she never will. The finality of this is devastating. It spins you out again, consuming all your resources to process, and so you still continue to take care of the lives that you created and the one you vowed to take care of in sickness and in health. You are spinning plates on the sticks like the Chinese circus that came to town when you were a child. You run from plate to plate, spinning and spinning, desperate to keep anything from falling, and it takes every ounce of your life force. Then you turn 40, and all the cliches are true. At 40, the alarm is screaming. Until 40, you had successfully tuned it out. It was still going off, but you were able to ignore it for years, saying later, I will do something. But now it is nearly deafening and you must act. So you gather your meager resources and you finally see for the first time with fresh eyes what the issue really is. Your marriage is a dysfunctional mess even years of therapy never helped. You yearn to take care of your kids without the added burden of taking care of an adult addict. You want those resources you poured on him resolving his problems to be free to refocus on yourself. He will never change. That is obvious. You are done. So you ask for a divorce, a long, drawn-out, messy divorce that takes almost 2 more of your precious years. Finally, you think things will get better. Now you can all heal. But instead of healing, your kids are hurting. Because you hid all the problems in your marriage from them. Because you didn't want to burden them. They had no idea the secret battles you were fighting. Their lives begin a free fall. They are searching for something to make them feel better, to make this crippling, newfound fear and anxiety go away. Your son reaches for drugs to chase away his profound pain, and his descent into hell begins while all the battles are still being fought over the home and business. While you weren't paying close enough attention, he gets consumed by his need to escape the pain. When you finally see what is happening to your son, you react swiftly and strongly, getting him treatment and meetings. You send him away to a residential center because that is what the experts tell you to do, and because you will do anything they say to make him healthy and happy. You want him to be okay. Your entire focus shifts to him, to what he needs, finding a good therapist, getting him on the right cocktail of drugs for his depression and anxiety. With whatever resources are left, you take care of the daughter who has been scarred by watching her family implode and her brother self-medicate. The actions the experts recommend are not easy, and your son knows that all the big decisions and disciplinary consequences come directly from you because your husband never actively participated in the child rearing. He was the fun dad, and you regulated to the judge and jury. You were so good at it that he left all the tough decisions to you. Because of this dynamic, your son doesn't trust you anymore. He sees you as the enemy. He runs away. He lashes out. He steals from you, and he lies. In tandem with this downward spiral, your daughter begins to suffer. Watching the entire unfolding of her brother's self-destruction is fundamentally changing who she is. It's destroying her. So you make the most difficult decision of your life when you decide to separate the kids. Since your son refuses to come to your home, to the only healthy place he could stay, you agree to let him live with his dad, who promises to give him a safe and sober place to live. Your ex-husband lies to your face and tells you he isn't drinking anymore and tells you he's attending daily AA meetings. So you wrap your life around saving the child that you can save, feeling the enormous weight of shame and guilt that comes from choosing to save one child over the other. Your entire existence is engulfed in outrage and anxiety. The kids are angry. Your ex-husband is bitter, and you are terrified. Every unoccupied moment, you punish yourself for the decisions you've made, ruminating in shame and sadness where life has led you. You wallow in a vast sea of self-hatred. To feel better, you seek out romantic relationships. But because you are unhealthy, the partners you find are toxic. The newness and dopamine keep you happy for a time. It takes your mind off the constant pain you've been asked to endure temporarily, but it always resurfaces. Like a bobber you're trying to hold down under the water. Eventually, it rushes back to break the surface. You are empty. You are lost. You are broken. You don't know how to do anything anymore. You don't trust yourself, and you don't think you are enough. This is the place you live. And when jetting off to Scotland becomes an option, this is why you need it. This is why you must go. This is why it speaks to you.